Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the May 5th edition of the Downers Grove Village Council meeting. Sounds like maybe we're off. Back on? All right. Bear with us. We will get it. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. We always like to see faces in the crowd, and if you're watching on TV, welcome to you as well. As is our tradition, we're going to begin this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rosa, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Barnett.
Here.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit.
Here.
Commissioner Gilmartin.
Here.
Commissioner Tully.
Here.
Commissioner Davenport.
Here.
Commissioner Sarver.
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Welcome, everybody. Good to see you again. Time off. Here in council chambers to your right on those counters, there are copies of tonight's agenda if you'd like to follow along. It's a fairly light agenda tonight. We do have a closed session meeting coming up afterwards. Item 3 on our agenda is proclamations. This is a opportunity for the mayor to highlight or shine a light on things that are important or that deserve a little extra recognition or celebrate people or events that are happening. And so we have 4 this evening. The first is Police Week.
Absolutely.
And if you look in the back of the room, some people knew this was coming. Good to see you guys. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. Whereas the members of the Downers Grove Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of residents, businesses, and guests in Downers Grove. Whereas it's important that all citizens know and understand the challenges, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of the Downers Grove Police Department recognize their duty to serve by safeguarding life, liberty, and property, by protecting against violence and disorder, protecting the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression and intimidation. Whereas since the first recorded death of a law officer in 1786, over 26,000 law officers, including Downers Grove's own Officer Richard Barth in 1974, have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Whereas the Downers Grove Police Department unceasingly provides a vital public service for which every member of our community counts on daily. Whereas the Downers Grove Police Department has been and remains a recognized leader in modern, efficient, effective, and empathetic policing. Now therefore, I, Robert T. Barnett, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, call upon all citizens of Downers Grove and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th through 17th, 2026 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all our citizens. Dated this 5th day of May 2026, Downers Grove, Illinois. Chief DeVries, if you and the crew would come on down, I'd love to present this.
Yes.
I just want to say one other thing. I was recently at another event and had the opportunity to talk a little bit about public safety. And I've told this story many times to many people, but I want to repeat it here. It's not uncommon for people to say, how do you like being mayor? Or I can't imagine being mayor. Isn't that hard? How do you sleep at night? Sometimes it's said. And I can tell you exactly how I sleep at night. Those guys. Our public works, our public safety teams here have their moments like everybody, but they are the best. And in the time that I've been serving up here since 2009, I sleep well every night because I know when you need help, folks like this are on the task, and it's fantastic. So thank you again, guys. Okay, the second proclamation this evening is Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas Mental Health Awareness Month has been observed in the United States since 1949. Whereas NAMI's 2026 Mental Health Awareness Campaign is turning silence into connection and encourages breaking the stigma around mental health by sharing stories, fostering community, and moving from isolation to healing together. Whereas Mental Health Awareness Month is recognized in Downers Grove to enhance local awareness of mental health issues, start discussions, fuel connections and understanding, and highlight the many resources available to those navigating their own mental health path in our community. Whereas every day millions of people face stigma related to mental health and may feel isolated and alone. Whereas 2 of every 5 people report symptoms of anxiety or depression, and even more people care for someone who is experiencing such symptoms. Whereas healing begins in the community by sharing your story to help break the silence and to be the reason that someone realizes they don't have to face their struggles alone. Whereas creating a community where everyone feels comfortable reaching out for the support they deserve is crucial to ending the stigma around mental health. Whereas promoting mental health and wellness leads to higher overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, stronger economies, and improved quality of life for all. Whereas the Village of Downers Grove and its village council and boards and commissions wish to fulfill their responsibility in promoting mental health wellness, and whereas assistance is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Suicide and Crisis Hotline, call or text 988, or DuPage Crisis Services at 630-627-1700. Now therefore, I, Robert T. Barnett, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the Village of Downers Grove to enhance community awareness of mental health and let all residents know mental health matters and you matter here in Downers Grove. Dated this 5th day of May 2026. We have some folks from, I think, Grit 2 here to accept this. Come on down. We have 2 more. This is Historic Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation can be a tool for revitalizing and sustaining neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining a sense of place while enhancing livability. Whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. Whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in forming our lives today, and to recognize the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a community, reminding us of how far we've come and how far we have yet to go. Whereas Historic Preservation Month began as National Preservation Week in 1973 and was extended to include the month of May in 2005 by the National Trust. Whereas All People Are Created Equal is the theme for Historic Preservation Month 2026 and celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence by highlighting sites that reflect the full, inclusive American story and the principle that all people are created equal. Whereas 2026 Historic Preservation Month theme emphasizes protecting places that foster civic connection and honor diverse histories. Now therefore, I, Robert T. Barnett, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Historic Preservation Month in the Village of Downers Grove, and encourage residents and businesses to get engaged with your local historical society, visit and tour historic sites locally, and when traveling, help build awareness and share your love of historic places on social media using This Place Matters hashtags. Dated this 5th day of May 2026, Downers Grove, Illinois. I think we have members of our Historical Society here to accept this. We have one more this evening. It's an evening for celebrating. Whereas the U.S. Small Business Administration has celebrated National Small Business Week for more than 60 years. Whereas small businesses account for more than 99% of all private sector employees and create nearly 2 of 3 new jobs nationwide. Whereas small businesses foster innovation, provide valuable services, goods, and amenities to our community, and contribute significantly to the growth of our local economy. Whereas the Village of Downers Grove supports and joins in the national effort to help America's small businesses do what they do best, create jobs and ensure our communities remain as vibrant tomorrow, as they are today. Whereas the Downers Grove Economic Development Commission and the Downtown Management Corporation both serve as vital resources for the local business community, supporting growth through networking, education, business planning, and peer support. Whereas National Small Business Week has been proclaimed by the President of the United States since 1963, honoring the vital role of small businesses in creating jobs, growing the economy, and anchoring our communities. Now therefore, I, Robert T. Barnett, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as National Small Business Week in the Village of Downers Grove, and call upon all our citizens to join me in recognizing the achievements and contributions of the small business owners in our community by choosing to support them now and throughout the year. Dated this 5th day of May, 2026, Downers Grove, Illinois. Thank you all. We're going to move on to item 4, minutes of previous council meetings. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve the minutes of the Village Council meeting of April 21st, 2026.
Second.
Any comments from the council? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We're on to item 5, public comments portion of our meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where we take public comment on items not on tonight's agenda. If you're here for the first time, a few reminders. First, there will be an opportunity to comment on any future agenda items, either active or first reading. So this is for items not on tonight's agenda. Secondly, if you plan to speak tonight, state your name for the record. Address your comments to me as chair of the meeting. Keep comments to 5 minutes or less. Avoid repeating what others have already said. It is okay to say you agree with the previous speaker. In fact, if you watch our meetings, you'll see that done up here as well. And then please keep your comments to 1 visit to the podium per subject, and remember, comments on village governance are the best suited for this forum. So if you have any comments on items not on tonight's agenda, please come on down to the podium. Let us know what's on your mind.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Downers Grove Village Council. My name's Eileen Briner. I am a resident. For the past 5 years, the Village of Downers Grove has prominently issued an official Pride Month proclamation each June. Last year's proclamation rightly states that discrimination based on religion, among other things, is wrong. It speaks of fairness, equality, our diverse population, and the intrinsic dignity of every person. Yet, in practice, this proclamation caters to only one genre of thought on sexuality and gender. By elevating Pride Month as the village's signature June observance, while issuing no comparable month-long celebration for Christian perspectives on family, marriage, or biological reality, the village is, in effect, discriminating against most everyone else. It selects one contested ideology for official honor and public prominence while leaving the beliefs of the broader population unrecognized. That's not the fairness and equality the proclamation claims to champion. Let me be very clear. Objecting to a government proclamation is not hatred, nor is it discrimination against an individual. The vast majority of concerned citizens fully support the principle of live and let live. We believe every person should be treated with dignity and respect. The issue is not people, it's government using its official voice and our public resources to celebrate and promote one set of ideas while sidelining all others. This is especially troubling when it comes to our children. Young children are drawn to bright colors, parades, rainbows, and celebrations. They cannot comprehend complex debates about gender ideology or adult sexual politics, but they absorb the message that the village, their village, officially endorses these celebrated ideas. That creates confusion and undermines the values parents are teaching at home. We should be strengthening families, not subtly undermining them. Therefore, I have a simple, reasonable, and unifying request. Do not issue a Pride Month proclamation this year. Better yet, let's go further and restore true neutrality. The village should adopt a clear policy going forward. Issue proclamations only for non-ideological, broadly supported purposes, such as honoring veterans, first responders, historic preservation, or public safety, or eliminate the practice of month-long proclamations entirely. This would remove any appearance of government picking sides in contested cultural debates and help rebuild trust among all residents. Our public spaces, our village hall, our official proclamations belong to every resident, not just those holding one particular set of views. Let us recommit to true neutrality so that Christians, conservatives, and all families of different beliefs can feel equally at home here. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community. I look forward to your leadership on this important matter. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Hoyce. I could not agree more with Chick Briner's comments, and I thank her so much for making them. It's very important to many of us in this community. I'm a 40-year resident of Downers Grove and a candidate for state representative. I'd like to step back a moment and acknowledge that this cultural movement has affected not just the village, but other government entities, including the library and the schools. And I'm going to speak to that tonight. So I start by looking back at how Pride got started historically. It started in 1969 and then transitioned from a one-day radical gay liberation push to an annual month of celebration in June of LGBTQ plus equality and visibility. By the 1980s, its focus shifted from liberation to pride, fighting for rights and marriage equality. In 2009, President Obama expanded the designation to the entire LGBTQ plus community, which of course included trans people. In 2022, President Biden added intersex individuals. Okay, let's fast forward to today. The Trump administration has declined to formally recognize Pride Month for good reason. It has gone too far in this community. Downers Grove has pretty much become known as a lightning rod for pride, and why one segment of the community being so celebrated for an entire month when veterans are given hardly any attention at all. So it really has changed in the recent past and in ways that many of us feel not good about. It has been shrouded in secrecy and deception, and this particularly relates to our schools in Downers Grove and across Illinois. The National Education Association and the Illinois State Board of Education have pushed guidelines instructing our school districts to teach gender studies, trans influencing, and to hide this from parents. It's just a fact. It's been happening, and I particularly know this about District 99, our high school district. The explicit perverse sex ed that's forced onto our children, K through 12, is being exposed. Governor Pritzker's quiet gender agenda, as of last week, is the target of a DOJ investigation involving 36 Illinois schools with a civil rights investigation. The Department of Justice will report on schools' radical gender and sexuality curriculum, which parents did not know about. Parents have been kept in the dark. They're busy, they're working full-time, they have schedules that are full, and they may not know what's actually being taught to their kids in schools. Many of them do, but many don't. In response to the DOJ investigation, Senator Dick Durbin told Trump to stop attacking the rights of LGBTQ plus students. So that raises the question, what exactly are the rights of LGBTQ plus students, and why are Governor Pritzker and Senator Durbin so keen on supporting them and advancing them? Could it be money? According to the current state representative for this District 81, Representative Ann Stava, LGBTQ persons have the right to taxpayer-funded gender treatment or mutilation surgeries, or to have their insurance cover these services. So it's a struggle for the rest of us when we don't understand why this is such an important issue to some but not others. Do taxpayers really want to continue to pay for these services that are profitable to the providers, but that harm children, tear families apart when they discover what's happening to their child, and make Illinois less affordable every day? So big picture, it's affecting everyone in the village. Just after the inappropriate May Day rallies took the kids out of school on May 1st to serve as activists for the teachers' unions, Chicago public schools were caught distributing color and flavored condoms, dental dams for oral sex, and lubricant to middle school and high school students. Schools that denigrate, degrade, and disrespect students but deliver only 29% literary proficiency. And I know this doesn't directly relate to the village, but the village has supported the culture change and has embraced and endorsed Pride Month for the last several years. So I'm here tonight to ask this board respectfully to not do it again, to have us become united as a community, to come together, to talk about the differences in our views, to be able to address our neighbors. The Pride movement in the schools, in the libraries, in the village has become very divisive, and we've suffered from it for the last several years. So we, the people, don't want this anymore. To the board, I support Ms. Briner's call for the Village of Downers Grove to act now to discontinue Pride Month in Downers Grove. For years, we've witnessed the expansion of Pride in the village. It's everywhere, not just here in the heart of town, but in the schools, in the libraries. It's harming our children, sometimes irreversibly. It violates parents' trusts. It violates the law. And it's working against the will of the people. So, thank you for considering this. We, the people, have had enough of Pride Month. We want fairness. We want every constituent. Your responsibility as board members is to serve all constituents in this village. So we're asking you to respectfully to do that and to stop supporting Pride Month now. Thank you.
My name is Marian Kritzler. I've been a Downers Grove resident for 36 years. and I wholeheartedly endorse everything that was said by the two previous women. As a resident, I just feel that gay pride has been shoved down our throats, and there's many people that feel that way. So I just want to support everything that was said and ask you to really take this into consideration and act on it, just to maintain neutrality in our village. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rich Brennan, and bought my first house in Downers Grove about 52 years ago, and have spent most of my life in Downers Grove until just a couple of years ago. My subject is on historic preservation. As I look around the room, I don't know anybody old enough to remember when I received a special month proclamation for being the first solar heating business in Downers Grove, Illinois. And like a lot of pioneers, we got scalped, but we got the ball rolling. My real purpose here is to do something we forget to do. We forget to be grateful for each one of you, regardless of our differences on policy and such, for the responsibility you take on, for being honest members representing our town. And for that, I ask the good Lord's blessing on what you do, your work here, and on the families who are behind you. May God bless you all. Thanks.
Any other subjects not on tonight's agenda?
Hi, Gloria Walshrock, 30-year resident. I want to say it is really great to learn a little bit about the history of the gaining of popularity of Pride Month here in Downers Grove and across the country, and to learn a little bit more about how it is implemented and celebrated in the schools and the library in the village. I believe that it should be celebrated because there are many kinds of people here in Downers Grove. And when we think about what are the rights of LGBTQ plus students, children, adults, families, I believe those rights should be taken as seriously as everyone else in the village. And it's interesting to hear about how from a small resistance moment, Pride Month has become a huge celebration, really across the country in many places. And I think that it's fabulous that the village participates in that for all of the families that have not been recognized over many, many, many decades. Families and children that have structures that aren't considered traditional by everybody. And I hope that the village will continue to celebrate that, just as they celebrate many things, and to realize that there are many people here in Downers Grove, and we, the people, are multitudes and varied, even here in this village. And I think that it is necessary that all of the people, families, children in this village are recognized and their rights are celebrated and that they are protected. And so I appreciate what the village has done, and I hope you continue to do that. Thank you.
Hello, Marge Mark, 29-year resident of Downers Grove. I am a proud transgender parent. I am very grateful and happy that Downers Grove is not scared to honor June as Pride Month. Doesn't take anything away from anyone else, but there is a large population, larger than what some people in this room might think, who are LGBTQ, who live in Downers Grove, who happily come to Downers Grove to shop, to eat, to use our library. Pride Month is not an indoctrination that's going to lure young children or school children into becoming LGBTQ. Everyone has a place in this world. And I'm grateful for the fact that Downers Grove has done this year after year. And I truly hope that you continue to do it, because a small vocal majority does not truly speak for the entire Downers Grove community. Thank you.
My name's Scott Richards, and I didn't know the subject was going to come up tonight. And so therefore I don't have any prepared, but I do have I'm a gay man. I'm also a veteran, 4 years in the Air Force. What I heard tonight is insulting, is disgusting, and how dare people get up here and make those kind of comments? This day and age of all times. And then I'm sure they all go marching off to church and feeling very proud of themselves. But I just sat there and I was stunned, and I'm insulted, and I'm ashamed of the community who feels that way. If I'd known this was going to come up, I would have made a little more presentation. But I'm appalled by what's going on tonight. How dare you people? Anyway, shame on you.
Any others? Subjects not on tonight's agenda.
Mayor Barnett, Council, good evening. Ed Brainer, Downers Grove resident. First, I would like to add my support for the comments made in disagreement with June being Pride Month in Downers Grove. Now, please note, disagreeing with DG Pride Month does not make someone a homophobe or a hater. It makes them someone with a different point of view. In a free country, people are allowed to question, decline, or simply not support certain movements. That's not intolerance. That's freedom. With that concern expressed, I'd like to shift to a proclamation that should bring us all together. That is to ask Mayor Barnett and the council to declare and proclaim this November 2026 National Veterans and Military Families Month. We honor our veterans on November 11th, a single day, just one day. But their service doesn't fit into just 24 hours, and neither should our gratitude. Veterans carry the weight of their sacrifices every day. The time away from family, challenges of returning home, and the lifelong impact of their service. Their families serve too, quietly, steadily, holding everything together through deployments, uncertainty, and change. Without the service and sacrifice of veterans, the world would most likely look very different, and in some cases, maybe with far less freedom. A Veterans Month gives us the time to truly recognize that reality. It allows our library and our schools to teach their stories, communities to provide support, and families to be seen and appreciated. not just remembered in passing. One day reminds us, a month commits us. We believe their service deserves more than a moment. Therefore, our recognition should reflect that. So, Mayor Barnett, Council, I call on you therefore to proclaim this November 2026 and all future Downers Grove Novembers as National Veterans and Military Families Month. Thank you.
Any other subjects not on tonight's agenda? Okay, thank you. We will continue. Item 6 is the consent agenda. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor Barnett, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Just like that, we're on to item 7, the manager's report. Dave, it's over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we get to our discussion of the boards and commissions project, I want to share some good news with the council and the community. S&P Global Ratings has assigned its AAA long-term rating to the Village of Downers Grove for our upcoming bond issuance. In addition, S&P Global Ratings reaffirmed our existing AAA rating on all of our existing debt. I want to share a few things that come with that announcement and report from S&P Global Ratings. The rating reflects Downers Grove's strong and diverse local economy, supported by its proximity to Chicago, with consistent revenue growth and a robust financial position. These strengths are complemented by sound management practices, home rule status, providing broad revenue-raising flexibility and enhanced fiscal control. And it goes on to say, our financial performance reflects better than budgeted operational results with strong revenue growth, resulting in annual general fund surpluses over the past 10 audited years. Management employs robust policies and practices, including forward-looking budgeting, monthly budget monitoring, and detailed long-term and financial and capital planning. Formal policies cover reserves, debt, investments, and the village follows cybersecurity best practices. It is great to hear that come back to us as a team from the group at S&P Global Ratings. So I want to celebrate this, and I have a special thank you to every council member for your continued support of our long-range planning efforts, for your commitment to budgeting the way that we do it here in Downers Grove, and for all the tough decisions that come with budgeting, planning, and decision-making in general. It's your decision, backed by my teammates on the staff, that have put us in this position dating back to 2013. Next steps. We're going to go ahead and issue those bonds in the coming weeks. We will receive the funds from those bonds in about mid-June. And why are we doing this? So that we can continue to maintain our water system. So look for the construction of those capital improvements to the water system. They'll start this year, and they will be completed in the next 3 years. So great news on the financial front. Thanks to all the council members. Okay, now we will go on to the published agenda item, which is a continued discussion of our priority action item, enhance engagement of boards and commissions. Council identified this as an item on your work plan and gave us a description of this project, which has 5 key objectives. You can see them here on the screen. This is all about, as the title says, enhancing our engagement of our valued board and commissions. We've been having this discussion over a series of meetings. In February, we provided some introduction and background and talked about how we have recently been engaging our boards and commissions, commenting on our key operating concepts. And the council then had an opportunity to share any thoughts and sort of opening comments that were on your mind at that time. Just last month, we focused on 3 of the 5 objectives regarding how we use our boards and discuss the concept of increased use, referring additional items, and formalizing their participation in the long-range plan that I just mentioned. We are now here in May, and we're talking about the 2 remaining objectives. Tonight's discussion will focus on expanding recruitment efforts and strengthening the relationships between this council and our boards and commissions. After this discussion, we should be in a position to package up for council consideration what the actual enhancements and change practices might be going forward. So we're going to, again, present some concepts here in these two objectives as a starting point for discussion. But again, they really should sound familiar because they are based on things that all 7 council members have said, either at previous council meetings or at individual meetings preparing for this discussion. So we'll turn our attention to the 4th objective, expand recruitment efforts. A real brief synopsis of our existing efforts. It's pretty simple. Residents apply for these positions online by submitting an application that's sometimes referred to as a profile sheet. We work hard to create awareness of the opportunity to serve. We do it in a variety of ways using short form videos, which are fantastic, thanks to Doug and his team, social media posts, website, newsletters, getting the word out. The challenge is, despite our best efforts, not all residents are aware of the opportunities, and they're not really aware of the process for selection either. So, some things that the council may wish to consider moving forward in expanded efforts is to increase public messaging about opportunities to apply. And there are a variety of ways to do that. We've heard about the concept of announcing opportunities to apply right here in these village council meetings. And perhaps council members should, in your informal conversations with residents, mention the opportunities and talk up the board and commission experience. Board and commission members also could have the opportunity to participate in the recruitment efforts in similar ways with council members. And one of the things that we can do better as an organization is adhere to the appointment schedule and get those appointments done on the August schedule to create a sense of certainty in recruitment and really close the loop on where we are on those appointments. And then it's speaking to the council selection, rosters, those on the boards and commissions should reflect a cross-section of the community and include 1 or 2 members with strong knowledge, skills, and abilities in the pertinent subject matter. These are concepts that we've heard from council in previous discussions. And then on the last objective, which speaks to strengthening the relationship between the council and the boards and commissions, here's a couple of things that have been put on the table for further discussion. We need to establish clear expectations about the roles and responsibilities and the meeting schedules, what it takes to be on a board and commission, what's expected of them, how often you'll meet, how much time it may take. Another concept we heard from council members is to consider reestablishing council liaisons to each board and commission. This council recently reestablished liaisons to other governments. That's been in place for a couple months now. Pulling further on this idea, perhaps if we do assign council liaisons, they could attend at least 1 board or commission meeting annually. And at that meeting could explain what's going on at the village council level or the village overall. And more importantly, communicate to the boards and commissions how their work is contributing to our overall results and what role they play in it. Going back to the last concept, perhaps this is an opportunity to assist in recruiting as a liaison. And then another thing we heard was a potential opportunity to participate in an after-action discussion with board and commission members, especially if there was any sort of enhanced communication that needs to take place after a recommendation is presented to the council and the council makes a decision. And then the council liaison, if established, could also just meet informally with individual board and commission members to talk about what they're experiencing and how the village council could help. In terms of enhancing communication as a way of strengthening relationships, perhaps a monthly newsletter report could go out from the village to the board and commission members, letting them know how their work is contributing to the overall results of the village. And we also heard a concept of an annual board and commission retreat with those board members, commission members, village council members, and staff. And the elements of those retreat could be established by this council. So with that, that's just a starting point for discussion, Mayor. We're looking forward to dialogue, questions, comments, and concerns on these 2 objectives. Mayor?
Thanks, Dave. Tammy, start us off.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I've been doing a little
not deep dive, but a little dive into how to expand recruitment efforts. Right, I never get this right. And there's been some research out there that says that even though you can use really strong social media messaging, not only do a lot of people follow social media, but there has been documented groups that are harder to reach, such as people that are limited in English proficiency, immigrants, senior citizens, people with disabilities, religious minorities, renters, newcomers. So reaching out to them might be a little bit more targeted than just a social media campaign. So maybe finding out who some of the groups are in the community. Like I know there's Equality, Downers Grove, it's a big group. I'm sure there's others that are very active, maybe working with them, and that way we would find that cross-section of the community. Also, maybe having the messaging translatable. I know a large part, not a large part, but there is a part of our population that speaks Polish, there's a part of our population that speaks Spanish, and if we're gonna be inclusive and make sure that we're including everybody, we should definitely make sure that we're putting that on our agenda as well as people to reach out to. So I think just looking on, beyond the typical social media, because I know for myself, I've kind of tuned out of social media. It's kind of a last minute thing, and I find it very, very frustrating and disheartening. And I feel a lot of people feel like that too in these times. And so maybe we need to rethink the forum that was great 2 years ago might not be the best forum to reach people now. So just my small amount of research.
Social media is a piece, right, Dave? I mean, we're doing across pretty much every medium. Yeah. So it's snail mail in people's homes. It's on websites. It's at the auto. It's on the village newsletter that goes both electronically and in mailboxes, and in social media too. It's a broad-based thing. It's social media alone would certainly not be effective. Mike?
Sure. So just a couple of thoughts on the expanded recruitment efforts. I think, I know when I was on what used to be the ADRB, now HPDRB. Yes, I'm getting it down. I did my best to try to identify other folks and say, hey, and a few of them ended up serving. And I think that when you're involved in that work, you're kind of the best ambassador for sharing with other people about that work. So doing things to encourage our existing board and commission members to seek out others, I think is a worthy endeavor. The rest of this, yeah, okay. The strengthening relationships. I'm a little hesitant on the established council liaisons to each board and commission. We've got a lot of board and commissions, and so I could see where maybe that's something we think about with a few targeted. That makes some sense to me. It occurs to me that a lot of what else is talked about there might be accomplished in an annual board and commission retreat. I'm not sure that, whether we want as a group, we agree to do an annual retreat or not. I think that the goal in doing that is a worthy endeavor. And having some informal time to get together and discuss things is something I'd be interested in. However, we have OMA things and difficult to sometimes really have those in-depth conversations in a formal meeting environment. But I'm interested in additional conversation about that, and establishing expectations about roles and responsibilities and meeting schedules. I think we already kind of do that. At least in my time here, I felt like we've tried to make a little more concerted effort at that than maybe has been done in the past. I don't know, but I wasn't here in the past, so hard for me to compare. Others could do that. But I do feel that most of the people that are serving are given the expectations up front. And I've served on several boards and commissions over the years and ad hoc committees and such for the village, and coming into coming into it, I was always given a little binder with lots of information and who to talk to, and a little, hey, don't forget about OMA. And so got pretty good instruction on that. So I'm not sure what more we're looking for there, but I'm sure somebody might speak to that. I think that's all. I'm interested in hearing what everyone else has to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I actually like the idea of potentially reaching out to targeted organizations. You know, we have several historic preservation organizations in town that, you know, would be a good place to kind of try and get people involved. So that is an interesting idea. And another one is to potentially, when we have, you know, big things coming up. So for example, we're going to be having our coffee with the council related to streetscapes, potentially having a board member or two or a commission member or two from the relevant committees even come to that. This way we could have some of those informal conversations. I know there's been real hesitation to try and do a retreat because that can be logistically difficult, but if we can't do that, perhaps then throughout the year we can, you know, invite some board and commission members as needed if we're, you know, talking about a certain topic. For me, in terms of the establishing expectations about roles and responsibilities and meeting schedules, I think it's more about the ones that, you know, say we have these meeting dates, but then they typically get canceled. And so perhaps maybe my thought on that one was more, you know, maybe have an expectation of meeting quarterly just to check in or to let people know where things stand. That was kind of how I took it. And so, you know, the ones you served on were probably a lot more active, but say like the Stormwater Oversight Committee, right? Even if they kind of came in and had like a refresher of what it is that the role is or the stormwater things that are happening in the county, why it may be, it might at least make them feel engaged with the community and what's happening here. And even if it's not a monthly newsletter, even if it's every 2 months or quarterly, you know, report to boards and commissions, I think that might also help kind of with that two-way flow of information. So those were the things that popped into my head right off the bat. Thank you.
That logistics thing that you mentioned on retreats, I think I react to that as, first of all, I agree, logistics is tough, but the other thing I think of is, if we look across our spectrum of boards and commissions, if you had a retreat, it'd be like 2 days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you'd have people who were disinterested and disengaged for 85% of the time they were there. That I struggle with that one a lot. Anyone else? Martin?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to go down the bullet points here because I appreciate staff putting these together. Increase public messaging about opportunities to apply. First of all, Doug's efforts in the past to try to gin up excitement and awareness around the opportunities are exceptional. The superhero series is fantastic, but it only goes so far. We've talked in the past about maybe doing some other things that might gin up some interest and just awareness of what the boards and commissions are so that people would learn about them and think about it. And even if they don't immediately react, they might think, well, you know, might be somebody might be available or interested in doing later when Little League season is over or something like that, is maybe have some video testimonials on our YouTube channel or on the cable channel from board and commission members. That way they don't feel compelled. I mean, I like the idea of coming to coffee with the council. I would love to do that, but for people who can't or whatever, that would be another way to do it, because that could be taped at any point in time and it could be available if somebody wanted to know, well, what the heck does this board do? Well, here's a member of it can talk to you for 10 minutes about what they do. It's Ask Doug segment or something like that. We could even, I mean, once upon a time, we contemplated having a series of what does each board and commission do, so that would take it to the next level. And again, these could all be pre-recorded with some actual board and commission members giving some examples about what they do so that people could, maybe when we announce things, they can click on it and say, oh, that's what that board does. Stormwater oversight, I don't know what that is. Oh, I see, this is sort of an example of what happens. I realize there's a production value in that. It may be less than a retreat, but it could be something that would be accessible to everybody on their schedule. And then having people, I think it's a great idea, having members attend coffee with the council throughout the year would be great, because then you can see them in person too. And sometimes they might even answer some questions that we don't have to, especially maybe Tap. So just some ideas there. With respect to announcing opportunities to apply at village council meetings, sure, that's easy. Let's just do that. We should do that. well in advance, which then sort of leads into the conversation that we need to have our act in gear well in advance of when these opportunities are available, so we can start promoting them before all of a sudden it's, oh yikes, it's August and we not have a bunch of appointments to make. It doesn't give people a lot of time. We should be talking about them now for the upcoming August. So there are board and commission openings coming up in August, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to consider applying for them. Videos to come soon. I absolutely support having council member conversations with residents wherever we're at, whatever organizations that we're involved with. When we come across people, we should say, hey, you might be a good person to apply for this. And even if you're not ready now, why don't you put your name in so you're there, and so on and so forth. That's another thing that's easy to do, and all 7 of us, plus, again, I fully embrace the board, and to go to the next point, board and commission members doing the same thing. I mean, who else knows best what they do than the people that do it? And if we make it clear to them that while it's not a quota system, but that they should be encouraged to identify fellow residents would serve in those roles on boards and commissions, I think that's going to immediately exponentially expand our reach. And what's better than having a personal, hey, Bob, you might be good at this village council thing. You might want to consider getting involved. That's something that resonates with people. Adhering to an appointment schedule, again, that goes back to us. We have to get ahead of the August appointment schedules in order to get the ball rolling. That leads into reflecting a cross-section. We need to know what we mean by that, number one. So when we say we want a cross-section or we want people with particular skills and abilities, we need to figure that out in advance so that we can start advertising for it and letting people know that, which means we need to be doing that now in May, not in July for any August appointments. The other thing I want to say is, can we, and I think all of us will agree with this, can we perhaps require that applicants put in a full CV when they apply? Because we get some people that give us a full CV, and some people we just get a name and an address and what they and their job. And I'm interested in the X board. And then you have to sort of do research to figure out what their background is. Everyone's got one. Everyone's got one electronically. It doesn't even have to be something formal. It can just be here's my background, here's what I do, so we can then help us match people with skills and abilities to the pertinent subject matters, I think, a lot more easily if we had that information. I just know recently we all sort of struggled with that. Some people gave you War and Peace, and some people said, hi, I'd like to serve. And I think that's just because it wasn't made clear that that's something that's not optional. We should make that mandatory, because otherwise we're not going to be able to connect the dots. I think establishing the expectations, the roles and responsibilities and meeting schedule, I have every confidence in the world that the onboarding process that goes through when any person gets appointed gets a thorough explanation. Whether that needs to be refreshed every year is another story, but I know during the onboarding it's pretty thorough, but particularly for long-serving members, some of them could use a refresher. Council members need refreshers every now and then. I'm torn on the council. I know I went right into strength and relationships, sorry, but I'm gonna go through all of them. I'm also torn with establishing liaisons, because while it may be just one meeting annually, that's not a big lift. Maybe we can think about a different way to be the official liaison, because we do have about, 15 boards and commissions, and there's only 7 of us. So that might be something that we're setting ourselves up to fail by trying to do that, but maybe there's some other way to come at that. I do think that there's an opportunity for maybe one designated member of a council to, maybe in September, after new appointments are made, assuming that they're made in August, because we're not going to make them all in August, that a representative of the village council attends maybe one of their early meetings with the newly constituted board, assuming that there have been any changes, or even if there haven't been any changes. That doesn't always have to be the mayor. I mean, obviously it could be the mayor, but then that's 15 boards and commissions you have to deal with.
Sounds good. Next topic. That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
Maybe you do a little delegation there. I already talked about assistant recruiting. I think that's easy. Meeting informally with board and commission members, that might be accomplish the same thing I just mentioned with showing up to one of the meetings to say, hey, we're so glad you're here. Thank you to the new people. Thank you to your continuing service. And I know that went over well in the past, but we have to do that so that it's not too much of a lift for any one person. I don't know about the newsletter. I'd have to think about that more, exactly what the content would be, because it also sounds like a lot of work. I'm not sure what the return on investment would be, but I like the thinking. The retreat is a lot of work. We did one. So this isn't guesswork. We did one. It was a lot of work. Not everyone attends because they can't. Maybe there's a virtual version of it or something like that we could explore, which would not be such a logistical nightmare and not be so disruptive. I don't know, but I think some version of that personal touch, whether it's everybody or it's the mayor or designees, meeting in person with a board and commission at least once a year is probably a good idea. So I think there's different points on that spectrum, but I personally would like to capture some element of that, and how we do it, I'm open to and interested in hearing what everybody else thinks, but those are my thoughts on what's been laid out before us so far. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks. Let me just add, because I don't know how current everybody is. So from a cross-sectional standpoint, by just about any definition, we have pretty good cross-section. The problem is we don't have enough. We have very, very relatively few. So it's the type of thing where you decide that you're trying to build that cross-section, and by the time you build it, all of a sudden you don't have anybody left for the next board or commission. That's kind of the reality. We need more guys. I wonder on that newsletter thing, whether there would be some way to, there's 2 points to that. One is, I suppose, delivery of information, but one is really probably just engagement, right? Making them feel more part of the team. So would there be some way to take the normal updating that's done, like on high priority action items or on like, for instance, the rating news we got tonight, some of those sort of council directed updated things, and just repackage and then send it to them, so an individual gets I'm on the HPDRB and I got the update on the quarterly update on where we stand on stuff. I'm just trying to think about how we do that without creating a team that has to build newsletter content on a board specific basis over time. That's so I don't know, something along those lines might make some sense.
Well, we only do one quarterly to the village.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But the personal direct of it could be helpful and meaningful from an engagement standpoint, it seems to me. And then the other thing I was going to say is this reaching out to groups thing. So we have not done that, but for, frankly, historic preservation. And so that seems to me like the type of thing that, again, sort of personal is the wrong choice of words, but a specific village directed invite to run the list. We'd probably have 100 of them when you start talking about all the various groups in town, but actually going to them now and saying, hey, this is coming up, wanted to make sure you get this in front of your group and at least be more aware of it. That could be a big step in pumping up the volume. And then the last thing is, when we have missed August dates, those have usually been a result of your mayor not doing it on time. There is a process that's really laid out, and Dave, if you could share that maybe in the next couple of days. We actually have started the process 2 weeks ago. It is in process right now, and it is not as quick as you might think. That's all I can say. So Martin, you're exactly right. We got to get our act together. I'd say we probably have our act together. The mayor doesn't always. So just for everybody's perspective.
You're taking too much of that on. Yeah. Too much.
Well, I want everybody to realize there is a process. It isn't wait until the end of June or July to start thinking about it. That is not what we're doing. It's working through literally beginning about 2 weeks ago. And there's milestones and dates for the whole process. And so Dave will share that so you guys have some sense of what is happening behind the curtain.
But we have to be timely when you ask us to look at your candidates.
That's part of it.
It's not just you.
That's part of it.
I staffed a whole board, by the way. Just want to be clear on that.
Gold star.
It's got a one up.
On time, on budget. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, please, Chris, go ahead.
So you talked about the numbers being low. I guess I would just be curious to understand what the trend has been for applications. So just what we've been seeing in terms of volume over the years, and how low are we? Are we 10% down? Are we 30% down? And I think I would also, this might be difficult, but sort of try to overlay that with what our outreach has been. are we doing more outreach now and getting less? That would indicate that we're not connecting with folks. Are we doing as much outreach and not as much? Maybe we have to mix up the messaging. And then, and before I guess I go into all these, I just want to make sure that the idea of strengthening the relationship, one of the ideas I thought we talked about last time was sort of having the members or the boards report to us on an annual basis. Is that not part of this part of the engagement, or was that not a consensus?
I think that'll show up in the sort of full package.
Full package,
Yeah.
okay. So we've discussed that. That was something, okay, when I think of strength and relationship, that I viewed that, but I just want to make sure that wasn't getting missed. Well, I'll just go through these and I'll go back. The other thing is, we're not asking on the form how folks found out about the board application. And that, I think, is an important thing to be looking for. I was referred by Commissioner Davenport. I was referred by another board member. I saw a Facebook post. Like, that'll give us some feedback as to what is connecting with that. As I got close to this and then tried to pull back this week on this and just thought, okay, I had some friends I was discussing boards and commissions with. This is the exciting part of their weekend. But I think the general sense, this is anecdotal, but I think they felt like it was a more technical and more involved way, like almost like they had to run for it, or they had to like be appointed in a way that was beyond just sort of like, show me your interest, maybe we'll bring you in, that kind of thing. Because as I was sharing, get asked what's going on in the village, and I'm sharing that and how can we help? Well, this is way number one, and certainly I've got a couple friends who have applied and actually sit on boards now, which is great. I wonder if just the fact that like the word advisory isn't in our language, it's board and commission. I mean, a commission sounds to me as a I know what it is, but as a layperson could be seen as sort of a technical or you need some sort of expertise or some sort of requirement to be a member there. So I don't know if maybe part of it is that I know it's been that way for a long time, so I'm not suggesting it's totally broken, but that just came to me, like if people knew it was advisory or resident-led or something that had a more open feel to it, anyone can be just be a resident and care about the village. I think that would be important. Maybe we look at, I don't want to go through the form itself, but maybe we look at that to remove some barriers. There's a whole business section. I know it's optional, could throw people off. Martin mentioned the CV. I think it's a great idea. I don't know about mandatory because I'm not sure. Encourage is great. Retirees, things like that may not be keeping their CV up to date, but, and then the other thing I thought of was the fact that, well, I'll ask it as a question. Is there any other means by which people can apply besides filling out the form online?
We eventually get them to give us information, help them either fill out the form, but eventually it ends up in an online form.
Yeah, I just wonder if, and again, just spitballing here, offering people, if you're interested, stop by the village, we can help you understand and get the right place kind of thing.
We certainly do that, but you're right, we could do a better job of
Communicate
saying
that,
that. We
yeah.
do that,
So maybe someone is a little hesitant, they just want to come in, maybe ask some questions, and we go from there. I love the idea of video testimonials. I sort of envisioned almost like a press kit that any of us and anyone could send out either electronically, where it's just kind of the responsibilities, maybe a video, some testimonials. That is just something that can easily be distributed. So those were sort of my take on that. I agree that the public messaging obviously should continue. I think we talk about boards and commissions at the council meetings a lot, but we probably could do a more concerted effort. I imagine all of us are having informal conversations, so I think that's a good thing. I think the boards and commissions encouraging them to try to do some recruitment is a great idea. And then the schedule, the mayor already addressed that. And then I agree the cross-section in one or two with knowledge or abilities. I think going back to this, all of these make sense to me. The newsletter, yeah, I kind of had the same feeling, although I think it can be done fairly easily. I can share that offline, but I think it can be done without a whole lot of work. I don't understand, maybe I wasn't clear on the after action discussion. So is that like where the commissions have been asked to do something for us and then we have like a
Hot wash.
yeah, like a reconnaissance or a post-meeting, post-mortem kind of thing? Is that what? I don't know. It's on this. It was not my idea. So, okay. I'm looking at Davenport.
It's not me.
All right. Anyone? Bueller? Okay.
I mean, I think it was more towards, when we've had some of these disagreements of we don't necessarily take the recommendation, having those conversations about kind of what was motivating you, what motivates the council, get a better understanding of where each board is coming from.
Okay. That's good. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. And then on the retreat, I'll leave it to those who have done one. Sounds like it's a lot of work, although I think you said last time it was pretty well received.
It was.
So maybe I would be open to exploring that if that made sense. I don't know, Mayor, when you talked about sort of 85% of the not being engaged, is that because we think it would be about each specific board, or is it more of a general, maybe you can give a little highlight on what it entailed so that I can maybe understand better about what the expectation might be for those who attend.
Sure. Well, real quickly, and Dave and Mike will keep me honest here. It was, I believe, a half day or most of a Saturday, which right off the bat becomes a challenge because it's one day and everyone can make it and people have other things, travel, soccer, whatnot going on. But it was well attended. It took planning. Of course, we can invite all those people in, and then we had an agenda, and I'm sure we can dig up the agenda and probably share that with the council so you can see exactly what was covered. But it was what you would expect. Thank you for your service, basic board and commission stuff. Some of it was a refresher of the onboarding, but again, people have served for 4 years, sometimes forget. And then it was that interaction with the council and with staff. So there were designated segments along the way. There was an interaction and sort of a Q&A with the different boards, like what are there issues that you're experiencing? What could we do to help you? There was some of that polite, remember that just because we disagree with you, don't hold that don't take that too negatively because you're an advisory board. And we appreciate what you do, but ultimately the buck stops here and we may have different views for different reasons. Things like emphasizing the need to stay in your lane was important because sometimes that causes the problems when a board will kind of go out of their lane. It was dealing with a packed room and a very controversial issue. How do you handle yourself in that and not let it get you out of your lane because you're supposed to stick in your lane? Techniques like that, expectations of the council. I'm now just kind of going off of memory, but those are the kind of things. So it's a lot of the stuff that you would do in a one-on-one if you had somebody for a couple hours, but it was done in a group setting so that we got more bang for the buck. But it was also time spent. So people got to interact, council members, staff, and even board member to board member. And that's why it was so well received, but it was a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I think we did it once.
And how is it with OMA? How was it conducted to be in line with that?
Yeah, we published it as a meeting.
Okay.
Noticed, properly noticed.
So everybody could attend and
Sure.
open
Yeah.
discussion,
Open to the
like a
public.
coffee with the council kind of.
That was at Midwestern, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was an attendee and I
But
don't view it
that
as
sounds
fondly
pretty-
as Martin.
If we can dig up the agenda for that retreat and just send it around, you don't have to rely upon my memory. Please.
To me, that sounds pretty interesting, so I would like to see that. Yeah, I think that's all I had.
Anyone else?
I agree with everything I've heard up here. A lot of consistency between all of us. I like this idea of utilizing some of our public organizations to help recruit makes a lot of sense. I think establishing liaisons with all of our commissions is going to be efficient, and we'll probably have some difficulty. It might be set up for failure. Retreat sounds like a lot of work. May not be much of a return on investment, like Martin said with that. I don't know if timing wise works, but going back to the utilizing village organizations, we have this thing called Grow Fest where it seems like every one of the communities there. Is that something we could utilize where we have a table set up and put out information, or farmers markets?
Oh, we used to do that.
Yeah.
We did.
So, but no, I agree with everything that
Everything
I've
comes
heard
full
from
circle.
all of you
That's
up
right.
here.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so I guess I would say when it comes to, I really think that the folks currently serving on the boards and commissions are the best people to try to sell other people on being part of that board and commission. And I'd like to see it as kind of an expectation of service there, that hey, you know, it's not just as, hey, do you know somebody, but we'd really like you to look at this as part of the goal here of your service is to help us propagate. It occurs to me that most businesses have annual meetings where they bring everybody together, and I think there is some value in that beyond just what we're trying to accomplish here. In the end, we're humans, we're in relationships. That's how things get done, and spending time with each other is a good way to do that, and kind of remind us that we're all here together working at the same sort of direction. And then lastly, I would just ask that whatever we do with this, that we keep very much in mind that we're trying to establish processes and procedures that might outlast us. I mean, I might only be here another year. And as much as I think something's a good idea, a whole nother group gets together and decides something completely different. So I'd like for us to be establishing things. So this quarterly report idea, I think, is something to look at, especially if it can be packaged up in a way that we just are reusing existing information that we're already doing. I think that's a great idea. Putting into a normalcy of having maybe some board and commission members at those coffees with the council, I think that's something that could kind of start going and just keep going. And the little videos too are something that would, that be there for years to come and stay relevant, I guess, probably for quite a while as well. So that's something that I think I heard that I thought was really great. So
Do we have any old videos? Has this been something that's been done like 15 years ago that we could all watch?
Can neither confirm nor deny the existence of those old videos.
Maybe like the Patches of Hooligan film and
Yes,
dodgeball.
exactly.
Good reference.
that could be fun.
I wasn't.
That could be fun.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, maybe just one more point about the timing of the annual, and is perhaps around when new village council members are onboarded. I think that could give them also some help in understanding the dynamics. Just throwing that out there.
Somebody who's up for this coffee with the council thing, help me understand the purpose of that other than people like to get together and talk. What would a board or commission member is at a coffee with the council? You guys have all been at coffee with the council. And the expectation is that person is there to fill in the blank.
Coffee with the council plus transportation and parking. Coffee with
Yeah.
the council plus
Yeah.
historic
So-
preservation.
so-
Transportation parking plus liquor commission.
Yeah, like recent.
So are they a representative of that group then in some
Whoever
way?
can make it. Whoever can make it.
Just like us, whoever can make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity. So the public attends those boards and commission meetings as well. And maybe they can stay after, maybe they can show up early to have an informal conversation. Hey, I really want to talk to Gil Martin over there about something. Well, maybe not, but anyhow,
Oh boy.
the idea is it creates some accessibility for those boards and commissions to the public as well, that maybe doesn't exist as much. And,
Yeah.
so, yeah. And then I love the idea of putting a theme around, our coffees with the councils
Yeah,
also.
like we're doing this Saturday.
Yeah.
So my skepticism, if you can't tell, it's in my voice. Probably my body language too.
Yeah,
I guess.
we feel it. We feel it.
I mean, when we do coffee with the council, there's a couple things we work pretty hard at, and one is making sure that people understand that that's a really informal, non-decision making kind of a thing. And when there's anything of any material substance, there's staff taking notes and doing work as a result of it. And so, just so that we're all sort of thinking, the tap guy is there, and the neighborhood hears the taps guy is going to be there, and they decide they're going to let him know what they think, and that tap guy is going to be like, okay, I'm one, but there's still a meeting, and it's still not official, and I mean, it's important to get.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
It's the same thing.
Right. No, I fully understand it. That's my point. But we're doing it now with people who don't have the same connection to staff, who don't have authority, who are a person likely, unless we try and invite the whole board. We are generally 3 to 5, at least, of us there. And I don't know. Just I'm very concerned about expectations on these things, and I just want to talk about it. That's what we're here doing tonight, talking, not deciding. So
And my thought
maybe I
with
can be taught and learned and convinced.
My thought with Coffee with the Council is more about expanding recruitment, not so much informational, and,
Sure.
and just being informational that these are the commissions we have. All these people that are coming through, all of a sudden you might get 5 people that, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a thing here. That's something I'm interested in. And I was thinking it'd be more of a tool for recruitment, not for, passing information.
Yeah, okay. All right. Others? Anybody want to give us a few thoughts after listening to us for half an hour? Come on down. Yeah. We're trying to, we're talking this out. We're not done, and we're trying to improve the process.
Hi,
So
Marty, actually, I guess you saw me earlier tonight. The one thing that came to mind was, so I get the weekly newsletter on Friday. I see the open positions. Do you also, have you put in specifics for the commissions? I don't know. I don't recall seeing it, let's put it that way. So,
yeah, not yet this cycle, but yeah, in the past we have.
so, okay, that's all I had.
Liz Chalberg, I agree with the previous speaker. Also, I wanted to suggest on your main page, at least on a cell phone, it says, what do you need to get done today? Apply for a board and commission. And you don't have to put much there. You just click a link and get to a page that talks about the full list of boards and commissions. And then each one has a link that goes to that video, which is a terrific idea. That's all I got.
Excellent. I like it.
Patches up there.
Like Winston here.
I'm not sure, maybe you are already doing this, but you talk about a cross-section of the community. Where do people go? Where do new families go? Where do seniors go? Where do people with different language abilities go? They all go to the library. So if you are working to recruit, I don't know, maybe you even have a program there annually, like, what does the village council, what does the board do? For boards and commissions, just something to think about, working with the library where there's really a cross-section of the community residents, and that you might find people that people on boards might not necessarily interact with, so.
Okay, any others? Dave, you feel like you got some stuff to work with as you keep working this process?
We do, and next steps will be the review of sort of the package of all the different ideas, probably some sort of a report that, again, will be an opportunity for council discussion and direction. We'll aim to do that in June and see where that takes us. So yes, we have great direction on this. And if we're done with this topic.
Mayor,
I think so. Go ahead, Chris.
I just want to say that library idea is great.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at that with the number of people going through there. I don't know why I didn't think of it. I'm sorry, I didn't. Great idea. Yeah, something with the library would be great. Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to circle back on our great news in the AAA bond rating. It certainly takes all members of the village team to achieve this over a multi-year period. But I did want to highlight one person on our team who did an exceptional job of this particular bond rating and keeps us on the straight and narrow on all things finances, and that's our finance director, Robin Leahy. Her work in preparing not only for the bond issuance, but for the ratings call was really tremendous and above and beyond anything else we've ever done before, taking us to a new level. She is amazing at her job and a big part of why we continue to have this AAA bond rating. So thanks to Robin and everybody on her team. And with that, that ends the manager's report.
Thanks, Dave. Item 8, council member reports. Opportunities for council members to report out on other boards in the community that they are connected with, goings on, events, happenings they want to highlight. We'll start with Tammy.
Sure. Last Thursday, I had the opportunity to hang out with students at Downers Grove South and meet with students that were taking an American government class, and it was a ton of fun. They had really great questions for all of the participants, and they actually looked like they cared, which, you know, having worked with college students for years, I was impressed at the level of attention and detail that these students possess. So I'm glad I did it, and I hope they invite me again.
Thank you. Chris.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Going to take a little privilege with a little time tonight, so bear with me here. I don't usually comment on legislation that's still working its way through Springfield, but I feel like there is one that's different. There's a bill in committee that I think is at the very heart of what we do as a village organization. The bill is called the BUILD Plan, Building Up Illinois' Developments. The centerpiece of this is House Bill 5626, introduced in February by the governor. As of today, it's still pending in the House Rules Committee and hasn't passed, but I'm concerned that this bill has some momentum. Supporters are calling this the closest Illinois has ever come to passing statewide housing zoning reform. It's an effort to address affordable housing, and the House floor deadline is May 22nd, just 17 days from tonight. The opposition from municipalities has been strong enough that the governor himself felt the need to defend the bill publicly last month, telling a crowd in April that this is, quote, not a radical removal of local zoning. And I just want to say I respectfully disagree. I don't view this as modest reform. Under HB 5626, on virtually all single-family resident lots in Downers Grove, a developer could build a development with up to 8 units by right. No public hearing, no planning and zoning review, no special use permit, no council vote, a ministerial building permit that the village likely has to issue, and construction begins. Applied across a typical Downers Grove residential block, this legislation could result in a 450% increase in density from 14 units to 77 units on that same block, without a single dollar of dedicated infrastructure funding to support it. Our water mains, our sewer lines, our stormwater systems and roads were designed for the neighborhoods we have. They were not designed for this. The bill goes further. As it currently stands, it would cap front yard setbacks at 10 feet. When we currently require deep front yards of up to 40 feet across our residential neighborhoods. It would allow lot coverage of up to 70%. We currently allow 32%. And it would allow all of this to happen with no owner occupancy requirement. An outside investor could purchase a single family home in most DG neighborhoods, demolish it, and replace it with a multi-unit building by right. In its current iteration, every provision of this bill explicitly eliminates our home rule protections. Downers Grove's status as a home rule municipality will provide no shield here, and our taxpayers would bear the cost of compliance and the litigation risk that comes with state-imposed standards that we did not choose. Now, I am certainly not here tonight to say that housing affordability isn't a real problem. We know it is. And I want the residents of Downers Grove to know specifically what Downers Grove has been trying to do about it, because our community is not standing still. We are working with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus on an attainable housing study, specifically focused on expanding housing options for working families and residents across all income levels. We are actively moving forward with expanding accessory dwelling units allowances in some of our residential districts, giving homeowners the ability to add living quarters for family members so they can age in place or create additional housing options in their own properties. These are critical elements of providing real attainable housing in Downers Grove, organically and at neighborhood scale, and in a way that our streets, our water systems, our sewers, and our stormwater infrastructure are built to support. Our comprehensive plan, a reflection of our community values, supports the development of this missing middle housing, encourages higher density development near our metro station and employment centers, and considers density bonuses as an incentive for attainable housing. Opposing this bill is not opposing affordable housing. I am all for finding ways to include affordable housing in our community. When the village sold Lot 2, I was a strong voice with others on the council for requiring affordable housing units in that development. And I will very likely take the same position on any village-owned property sold for residential development moving forward. What I oppose is handing that responsibility to Springfield, because a one-size-fits-all state mandate is not how you build housing that actually works for the people of Downers Grove. But the fundamental problem with HB 5626, the proposed legislation in its current form, does not address the actual driver of housing costs, land values, construction materials, labor availability, financing conditions, and market incentives that may prioritize higher price units than the missing middle or low income workforce housing. Changing the zoning does not change those economics. Density alone does not provide affordability. As a local government, Downers Grove has joined our fellow DuPage County communities in voicing strong, formal opposition to this legislation. We are joined in that opposition by the Illinois Municipal League, which represents almost 1,300, all the 1,300 municipalities in Illinois, and by the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, whose executive director has stated that the vast majority of the 275 member communities share our concern about losing control. We stand together in saying that housing affordability is a goal we share, but the broad state preemption of our local planning authority is not the path to get there. I'll also share with my colleagues that I gave thought about maybe putting forward a new business item for a council resolution formally opposing that, or at least the provisions that strip our local zoning authority. I do remain open to that if other members would see value there. However, the reason I didn't bring it forward this evening was because I had a great conversation with our staff, and I've been satisfied with the village's voice that's already being heard. We have been proactive. Our team and Dave and Enza have been joined the chorus of the opposition on this on behalf of Downers Grove. So if there's an opportunity for us to amplify that, I would look forward to that. But I appreciate the hard work they're putting in there to try to help our voice be heard in Springfield. Formal opposition matters, but the elected officials in Springfield also need to hear from the residents who live in our neighborhoods. The House floor vote on HB 5626 is May 22nd, 17 days from tonight. Calls and emails to your state representatives in the next 2 weeks can carry real weight while this vote is still in play. If you're not sure who your state representative is, you can find out in about 30 seconds by going to elections.il.gov Just enter in your home address and it will show you your state house and Senate representative along with their contact information. When you call or write, I just simply ask you to say, you support expanding housing options in Illinois, but you oppose a state mandate that eliminates our community voice, imposes density without infrastructure funding, and exposes our village to private lawsuits. Ask them to vote no on HB 5626 and to work with the municipalities on a collective and collaborative approach that actually produces affordable housing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chris. Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. As an initial matter, I agree with the previous speaker. And I want to thank Commissioner Gilmartin for those well-reasoned and well-articulated points, because I think he struck at the very heart of the issue. It's a destruction of local control, which we fight so hard to represent our community, would strip our ability to do that. I won't repeat what you said. You said it very, very well. I would support a resolution. I know, like others, that our staff has voiced opposition formally through witness slips and other things, but as to your point, everybody can submit a witness slip in opposition. Mm-hmm. And frankly, what you just wrote out, I would support making that available to people to use in their witness slips, so they don't have to write something. If you haven't already shared that, please do, because it is a sledgehammer to try to fix a crystal vase, and it's just wrong in so many ways. So thank you for highlighting that and for your words. I completely agree with them. Secondly, because we have half as many meetings this month, I have twice as much to say. So likewise, please bear with me. But a lot of this ties into the proclamations that you just read, or some of them at least. First, speaking of Small Business Week, which is one of the proclamations, I want to remind everyone that downtown Downers Grove will be hosting the annual wine walk, known as Shop, Sip, and Stroll, on this Thursday, May 7th, from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. It is a sold-out event. However, there is a wait list available on Eventbrite, so sign up. You might get a chance, but what a great way to come downtown, see your neighbors, support small businesses in our downtown. May 7th, from 4:30 to 8:30, the annual Downtown Downers Grove Wine Walk. Second, I also want to mention that Hope's Front Door, which is near and dear to my heart, is having their annual Hands of Hope, Hope in Bloom luncheon on Tuesday, May 12th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That will be at a new location this year at the Sheridan Lyle Naperville. If you have an ability to join that luncheon, it's always a wonderful event. You can hear more about what Hope's Front Door does, including testimonials from some of its clients, and support a fantastic local not-for-profit that does a world of good for people in our community with very little resources. So what they're able to do is always quite remarkable. You can just go to Google Hope's Front Door and you can get all the details. We also had a proclamation with respect to Mental Health Awareness Month, very important, and NAMI was mentioned in that proclamation. I then, of course, have to highlight that NAMI DuPage is having their annual Growing Hope Shine a Light Gala on May 16th at the May 16th at the Marriott Naperville from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. That is not sold out. So if you want to get tickets to that event and support mental health and mental health awareness in our community and throughout DuPage, you can get tickets for that. Again, I would just simply Google NAMI DuPage Shine a Light Gala 2026 for more information. Again, a very terrific organization that is worthy of support. Next, you had a proclamation, Mayor, about Historic Preservation Month. And historic preservation is very, very important, not just intrinsically, but because how can future generations truly appreciate something if they can't actually see it and touch it, feel it, and in the case of historic properties, actually go into them? That was never more clear to me and never resonated as much to me as a recent trip that I took with my father, who was a Civil War buff. His group of Civil War buddies are diminishing, given his age. So he asked me to go with him on a trip, and we went to the Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia area, and visited sites like Fort Moultrie, Fort Jackson, of course, Fort Sumter, Castle Pinckney, and the ability to go to spots that were significant in both the Revolutionary War as well as the Civil War, and to stand in places where the Battle of Secessionville took place and actually see what tree line the Confederates and the Union soldiers were fighting over. To be in those places is something you just can't replicate on a map. And once there were some spots that the guide would tell us, well, that happened over there, but now there's houses there. Or now that happened over there, but now that's a parking lot. Or now it's a golf course. It doesn't resonate quite the same. So the fact that we take historic preservation and our community takes historic preservation so seriously and puts words into action is truly important. And it resonates when you are able to, many, many, many years later, actually stand in the place of these things. And I cannot say enough about the National Park Service or the State Park Service that maintain those locations. Absolutely top notch. It was a wonderful experience, but I thought I had to share that because of the Historic Preservation Month proclamation. What I didn't plan to talk about, of course, was the S&P AAA bond rating, which congratulations, that is fantastic news to have that reaffirmed. I just want to take a moment to emphasize how important that is.
Yes.
It's not just coming first in a race. Oh, great, congratulations, you got a gold star, good for you, Downers Grove. It has real meaning to the vitality and health of our community, and it means real dollars to the village and to our residents. We are able to borrow at a much better rate with that AAA bond rating than if we even had one that was slightly different. That's real money that we could otherwise be spending on infrastructure, water, sewer, stormwater, et cetera, than on interest. And yes, bonds are an important way for us to do business, no different than people have mortgages because you're investing in your life, and it's what we call smart debt. That rating is incredibly important, and it gives us the opportunity to later refinance bonds, which over the years, I don't know how many millions of dollars that we have saved over time by refinancing bonds that have already been issued because of our stellar bond rating. It just does so many wonderful things that it is superbly important to support our ability to do all the other things that we do. So kudos and congratulations. That is just so important. And I remember one former commissioner that Mayor Barnett and I both know that seemingly that was the only thing that he cared about was his guiding light was do not do anything that in any way, shape, or form interferes with our AAA bond rating. That might have been a little too narrow, but that was his focus because it's super important for a lot of reasons. That allows us to do other things, and that's why it's important to continue to maintain that. So congratulations on that. And then last but not least, of course, there are only 51 days left till Rotary Grove Fest. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Martin. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Gilmartin, if you don't bring the resolution forward, I will. So I very much think we should do that. Thank you for that. Your great words on that. I attended the District 99 workshop meeting last night, knowing that we were getting close to the end of the school year, and it's kind of a good time to get a summation of where they've been and where they're going. And of course, graduation's coming up on May 17th. So it's interesting, once your kids get out of high school and college and kind of move on with your life, you get out of the rhythm of that, all that school stuff going on. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So it was a great reminder to me about all the wonderful things that are happening right now in families across our community. So proms just recently occurred for both schools. There's end of year band and choir concerts that are in full swing. Several student recognitions and scholarship awards were presented at ceremonies at each school. At the board meeting, several District 99 students were recognized for their participation at the recent ISBE State Leadership Program Conference. The DGS cheerleading all-state participants were honored, and the DGS film team that placed fourth in state was celebrated. Student board members Ryan Enright and Romina Papavero Gonzalez were recognized for their outstanding service to the board. Every year, one student from each school is selected to be a student board member, and proud to say I had something to do with that starting about 8 years ago. The board made clear that their input is a tremendous help in understanding student perspective, engaging the effectiveness of board policy. Several District 99 teachers and administrators were recognized for superior work this year. The student board members stated that they feel the recognition was well-deserved because these leaders truly care. This school year, there was an emphasis on attendance, and data now shows it was quite effective, this emphasis. Planning has begun on next year's focus based upon several surveys of students, staff, and families, and will include emphasizing attendance plus accountability versus attendance alone. Student belonging will also be a focus, and continuing the cell phone policy where phones are put away during class work time will also be continued. And if you've got students in school, I'm sure that's a great point of conversation around the dinner table. The cell phone policy in aggregate has had a positive impact on engagement, behavior, and academics. That really kind of came out in some of the staff teacher surveys that they had. And then finally, future teacher professional development will likely be focused on AI use in the classroom. So hot topic for them. And then after the meeting, I informally talked to a few staff and board members and wanted to know what we as a village could do more to support them. And the answer was digital signs. And that's been something that I've been wanting to do something about for quite some time, including since when I was back on the school board, and it's something that they still like to have. And it's more than just kind of a pretty thing or extra nice thing to have. It just makes so much sense in this day and age to be able to communicate to people what's going on in the schools. It can be a safety thing, any number of all kinds of reasons why, and I know we'll discuss them all very soon and hopefully get it done. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Rob.
Commissioner Go-Martin, first I want to thank you because you clearly put in a ton of work. And I'm going to fourth the request that we make this a resolution and do it quickly and follow the village's lead, because I do know you guys have already been on this. And whatever we can do to assist, I'm in. Anything to support the village's right to manage our own zoning as we have and actually represent, up to 10 people that are actually in this room right now still listening. Thank you. AAA bond, that was a great announcement. That's incredible. And I appreciate you also mentioning Robin too, because she's done an incredible job as a big part of this. So that's absolutely a team effort, and thank you for saying that tonight. It's great. Look forward to this digital sign conversation coming up.
Oh yeah.
That'll be exciting. So my thing, I just want to remind everyone, the Americans the Holocaust exhibit is still going on at the library. It's here through May 19th, so if you have not seen it, highly recommend. It's an incredible exhibit.
Thank you. Leslie.
Yeah, I would also support moving forward with a resolution. I think there is a little bit of power in something that's official coming from the governing body. I just can really just see this as some equity firms buying up some land and just making luxury condos out of it. So there's not a whole lot of value in the one size fits all, and it's certainly not going to help with our affordability efforts, which we're happily on our way with, that I have deeply cared about since I started in 2019. So thank you for putting in the work. I also want to thank everyone who came out to Country, speaking of historic preservation, Country in the Park this last weekend. The Grove Foundation always sponsors the animals, as well as this time we sponsored the blacksmith, and it was a lot of fun. We typically help out with the churning of the ice cream, and one of the kids may have accidentally snapped off part of the top of one, but happily my husband happened to be there and was able to fix it. So yay for engineers. But it was a blast, and hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves who came. And finally, I feel like somebody has to address the elephant in the room of everything that was said today, because I am upset. And I do think that there were some inappropriate statements made. First, I'm sad that none of the folks are in the room right now, and I'm going to kind of go backwards. First, I don't think there's any reason to compare veterans and LGBTQ individuals. They are both incredibly worthy groups of human beings who are deserving of respect and love and care. I will note one interesting fact from the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans is that 5.3% of the homeless adult population are veterans, but 20% of the male homeless populations are veterans. It's actually a pretty large issue. A lot of folks who are in that condition have serious mental illness. There's a lot of PTSD and some other and disabilities that obviously come with being a veteran. And so one way that instead of just using words, we can actually support our veterans is to support funding for them at the national level, which is unfortunately not Downers Grove related. But from them, it says the same group, the most effective programs for homeless and at-risk veterans are community-based nonprofit veterans helping veterans groups. Programs that seem to work best help with transitional housing. So that is one thing that we can consider as we start to talk about our affordable housing. Offers the camaraderie of living structured, substance-free environments. And for the most part, those community-based nonprofits are the most successful because we don't actually dedicate a lot of federal funding to actually caring for our veterans when they come back home. So it's one thing to say that we support them, and it's another thing to put our money where our mouth is. And I think that's something that we should all consider as we move forward. Moving backwards, today I actually, which this is very interesting, read a great article about, and it's interesting again that Mr. Richards brought up shame. There was an article about how feeling shame is actually a really important part of the human experience. It means that perhaps we made a mistake and we need to reconsider and think about what we have said and how it impacts other people. So, for example, discussing the times when we still had a lot of racial inequity, we still do, but when, we were segregated, not all overt. So there's an article that was written in the Boston Review, and I would be happy to share it with anyone. Not all overt bigots hid behind robes or discreet book clubs, however. Some of them were willing to skirt the PC rules, the disparaging reference to the ghetto, which still happens today, the thoughtful suggestion to go back to Africa, and the occasional hard R. But these were the exception. This kind of behavior got you suspended at school, in hot water with HR, disinvited from dinner parties. In other words, it was the kind of behavior that would make the Bertrand Russells, part of the story, of the world think better of association with you. And one thing that stuck out was common decency stigmatizes people who do not participate in it. It removes them from voluntary association. We indeed have to live with one another, but terms and conditions apply. And that is exactly the case here. Some of the things that were said today were atrocious, and there's no place in decent society for saying cruel things about people, for implying that somehow an LGBTQ lifestyle is less than, that calling someone out for just who they exist to be, that's not an opinion. That is bigotry. And the reason why we need it and why it matters in this community, we have lost young people to suicide because of this rhetoric. So I'll give you some of the figures as to why we have a Pride Month, because the rest of us don't have to worry about any of this. Being non-LGBTQ is considered the norm. That's why we don't need our own little month, because we have all of society. So here are some findings from the 2024 National Survey on the Mental Health of LGBTQ plus young people. 39% of LGBTQ plus young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including 46% of transgender and non-binary young people, and LGBTQ plus youth of color reported higher rates than their white peers. And we have absolutely had youth who have left schools in Downers Grove because of bullying. So this is something that is happening here, and we need to address it. And part of Pride Month is finding the joy in who you are. More than 1 in 10 LGBTQ young people attempted suicide in the past year, which is outrageous. 50% of LGBTQ young people who wanted mental health care in the past year were not able to access it, speaking of Mental Health Awareness Month. More than half, which is heartening at least, 54% of transgender and non-binary young people found their school to be gender affirming, and those who did reported lower rates of attempting suicide. 90% of LGBTQ young plus young people said their well-being was negatively impacted due to recent politics, which again is why we need to acknowledge that this is not a policy decision. This is just a basic human decency. 45% of transgender and non-binary young people reported that they or their family have considered moving to a different state because of LGBTQ-related politics and laws. Again, affirming why it is so important for communities to show that they care. Nearly half of LGBTQ plus young people ages 13 to 17 experienced bullying in the past year, and those who did reported significantly higher rates of attempting suicide in the past year than those who did not experience bullying. Now, if we're gonna sit here and act like somehow becoming LGBTQ is there's some sort of indoctrination, I would like someone to answer me who would love to walk into a room saying, I want to make myself have a higher rate of mental health struggles and a higher likelihood that I'm going to attempt suicide. I don't think any of us are gonna do that, and that's quite frankly not what is happening. And this is the most important one for us, LGBTQ plus young people who reported living in a very accepting community attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those who reported living in very unaccepting communities. So quite frankly, right now, we need to be doubling down on the fact that we care about this community. And I would love to know what people would have said back when we finally integrated schools to say, but it's just my opinion that way, maybe they shouldn't be together. That's not an opinion, that's bigotry. And we need to call it out for what it is. And in some cases, if we make a mistake, we need to feel shame because we need to understand that the things that we are saying are impacting our young people. And quite frankly, I do not want to be a part of a community that is going to have young people attempt suicide at higher rates just because we are not showing them that we care about who they are as a basic human being. So that was very important. I'm going to now move on to, and it is Mother's Day coming up. I will move on from that to the proclamation of Small Business Week. I just purchased and mailed off my Mother's Day gift that I got from Adorn and from Evelyn Jane. So thank you to our wonderful community. And continuing with the mental health thread, wishing a happy Mother's Day to folks, but also holding space for those who have a hard time this time of year and are grieving. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We just got some chicken scratch notes, so bear with me. Didn't really have a mayor's report tonight, but we're on to the mayor's report. I'll try and heed my own advice and not repeat what my colleagues say, but I'd like to call out in particular Chris and Martin and Leslie and my agreement with them. Although Leslie, if you want to say yay for engineers more often, that's cool. Feel free.
My father was an engineer, my sister's an engineer, my husband's an engineer, so yay for engineers big time.
I want to touch on a couple of things with the AAA bond rating, just to mention them, because again, it's a team effort and there's really good work being done, and it's more than just that rating in this moment. I don't know what the string is. Dave could tell me, or certainly Robin could, but we do good work every day, and that's not just when we get ratings. We win annual reports or annual efforts for the reporting we do. The Government and Officers Finance Association awards Downers Grove for doing good work in reporting. We follow a practice where we rotate auditors. It is an obligation that this community has taken on for probably 30 years at least, to be really serious and diligent about finances. It's a stewardship thing. It's a service thing. It is different than a lot of communities. And I think that's worth noting. The AAA bond rating is, to be sure, fantastic. But that's not a right now thing. That's a function of a community and the government that you guys put in place, realizing that that is a really important bedrock kind of a thing in order for this community to do so many other things. And it's evidenced by the work that happens behind the scenes and the awards and recognitions we get for that work. So Robin and her team and those before her, it's really, thank you for very good work done. A little more on Chris's comments, and not on Chris's comments. I can't add to them. Frankly, they were perfect. You won't hear that again. But I've said to people often that this job isn't hard, it's complicated. And that's true. It isn't hard. Everybody here could do this if they were willing to put in the time to do it. And that's true in Springfield too. And the issue is in the details. It always is. And it's boring sometimes. I get it. It's way more fun to come up with your slogan, throw your 140 characters on the tweet, and tell the world how cool you are. But the truth is, there is a lot of work and detail behind these things, and every action has lots and lots of other actions. And so government moves slow, yeah, it should move slow. And this is an example of where the details are not being paid attention to in lieu of the headlines that people want to speak. And it's a real problem. It's an issue. And I hope that all the communities together are successful in Springfield. But if they're not, realize it's likely because the people there are not paying into the details the way they should be. That leads me lastly to some of the comments about proclamations. I'm going to leave what Leslie said sit on the table, but I want to say a couple things about proclamations. They are a mayoral privilege, period. That's it. I don't say that on a lot of things. If you've watched me long enough, I don't talk like that very often, but that is what they are. And I get probably about twice as many requests for proclamations as I do. And I select those that I think need the light shone on. And there are a variety of reasons that I do that. I'm happy to discuss those in detail with anybody anytime, but those proclamations, here's another thing. I write them. So the words that are out there, read them and think that through a minute. They are not light, they are in the details. They are not for the moment, they are for time. It's a fairly heavy thing. It's not a complaint at all, but to say you're going to take mayoral privilege and lay the village's brand, lay the village's logo as a stamp on those words. They're not done lightly. They're done very much on purpose. And I'll get into details on any one of them that anybody wants to, but I would encourage more than anything, people take the time to read them 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I think that maybe is the first thing to do. So I will continue to take input on resolutions or proclamations rather. I do all the time. I appreciate people coming and telling me what they think, and I welcome that input, but realize they are a mayoral privilege that I'm going to take. And that's that's just the end of it. So it's not a great way to act like an elected leader, I suppose, but there's a little reality behind proclamations. So it is what it is. We are not going to adjourn tonight. We're going to go to a closed session. We have some additional work to do, so I'm hoping there's a motion out there.
Yes, indeed. Mayor Barnett, I move to convene in a closed session pursuant to Section 2C3 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act to consider the selection of a person to fill a public office for which the village council is given power to appoint under law or ordinance.
Second.
Any comments? Rosa, would you call the roll on this one?
Commissioner Tully,
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit,
Aye.
Commissioner Rowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Sarver, Commissioner Davenport,
Aye.
Commissioner Gilmartin,
Aye.
Mayor Barnett.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. We are going to adjourn briefly. We'll reconvene in executive session. We will not be coming back to council chambers tonight. Thank you all for coming. Have a good evening.